Hi, Dan Krause here. I am a Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota licensed attorney, and today I want to talk a little bit about elder care planning. And what that means is planning for the costs of nursing care or assisted living care if that should happen to you or a member of your family. But first, I wanted to let you know that we have a newsletter that you may be interested in. We put out information like this on a monthly basis, and it's interesting information about estate planning and elder care and probate. So those are things that we do. We do them well, and you can get in on the newsletter by just sending an email to newsletter@friendly.law. That's newsletter@friendly.law. So, pre-planning and crisis planning. These are two major parts of the elder law section. So, pre-planning for nursing care, pre-planning for assisted living care can involve things like long-term care insurance. Many people have long-term care insurance where they pay premiums, and then if they should need long-term care, such as in-home care or assisted living care or nursing care, the policy will pay out according to what its limits are. So many of these policies have a certain daily limit, say 100 or 200 or maybe even $300 a day per person per day, up to a certain policy limit. So they'll pay up to so many months or so many days or so many years. Sometimes it's so many dollars, but it depends on the policy. If you are fairly healthy and well, even if you're not, you should look into long-term care policy. There may be a policy that is right for you. Younger people and healthier people have an easier time getting these policies because they do check your history of the care that you have needed and what types of illnesses or injuries that you've had in the past, and they'll want to do a nurse's screen as well, probably. That is one way to pay for long-term care. The way that many people, or most people actually end up paying for long-term care is through the Medicaid program, which is government insurance that we pay for through our tax dollars. Medicaid will pay for nursing care, it will pay for assisted living care, and it will pay for some in-home care if you qualify. Part of qualification is having a certain low level of assets and not too much income that you could pay for the care for yourself. Now, one way to do pre-planning, besides the long-term care insurance, is limiting the amount of assets that you have that are going to qualify or disqualify you for this program. Many people do this at least 5 years in advance of when they might need to make an application for Medicaid. And what they do is they take their assets and they put them in an irrevocable trust that's specifically designed for this so that the family can control these assets, but the assets cannot be forced to be used for payment of your care. And that helps to prevent all the spend down of the assets until you have nothing left. So there's that. The 5 years is a 5-year look back period. That's part of the rules of Medicaid. If you've given anything away or transferred anything for less than fair market value in the last 5 years, you will be given a penalty for doing that before you can actually receive Medicaid. So that's a little bit about pre-planning. There's also crisis planning. So crisis means that somebody needs long-term care right now. So they need either nursing care, assisted living, or they need help at home that the family can't provide, or it's very difficult or impossible for the family to do. And what we do in that case is sometimes we also create a trust for assets to get the assets down to the Medicaid limits. But we also have to shift assets around and do some planning spending. So things that can be spent, large things that people can buy before applying for Medicaid for themselves are they can upgrade their car. You can only have one car and qualify for Medicaid. The other things that you can do is buy prepaid funeral arrangements for yourselves if you're a couple, for other members of your family. These are exempt asset purchases that you don't have to disqualify yourself from Medicaid for making these purchases. Some people upgrade their house because your house, your main residence, is exempt from spending on Medicaid. Uh, the house can be taken by the state after you've passed away, and sometimes can be forced to be sold if you don't intend to ever go back to the house. But normally on a Medicaid application, you can exempt your house um, from counting in Medicaid. So any improvements that you do to your house or any amount that you pay off on a mortgage is exempt as well. So you can bring your assets down by either improving your house or paying your mortgage off. And sometimes we can, once we're done with all that spending and uh, we've gotten down the limits as far as we can, then what's left, we can generally save about half. So by using a trust and using special Medicaid compliant annuities, we can adjust so that you can give away assets to this trust and eventually to your family, but provide security for yourself during your troubled times at the end of life. And then in the end, everything will go to your family. But you've got to spend about half of everything on your care. And this, while it doesn't sound so great, saving half of everything, it's much better than what most people do is they save absolutely nothing or $2,000 at the most, because that's what the state and federal laws and regulations say, that you must be down to $2,000 in order to qualify for Medicaid. Well, I'm telling you that there are ways within the system, within the rules, that you can, instead of waiting till you get down to $2,000, you can save about half of what you start with after the spend down of those things that we talked about. If you have any questions about qualifying for Medicaid for you or a loved one, please give us a call. Or if you have just general estate planning questions or probate questions, our number is 608-268-5751, and we practice in Wisconsin mainly. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to hear from you soon.